At it again, and we got to talk about Elise, Stephanik, and Kaitlin Collins today from CNN. And yeah, I mean, it gets absolutely savage. Like, share, comment, and hit that subscribe button if you are new. And let's dive in.
New York Republican Congresswoman Elise Stephanik, the House Republican Conference Chair and the highest-ranking woman in House leadership. I should note, Congresswoman, thanks for being here on this busy day. I'm just curious what it says to you about the U.S. that the Supreme Court is even hearing an argument like this about a former president and whether or not he violated the insurrectionist clause.
Well, it shows that the left and the Democrat Party and Joe Biden's campaign, they know they're going to lose at the ballot box, which is why you're seeing lawfare, you're seeing witch hunt after witch hunt, court case after court case, going after Joe Biden's top political opponent, which is Donald Trump. And today was a very bad.
That is a fact. I mean, because if you think about it, for me, if I knew I had somebody beat, I want them on the ballot, right? If I truly felt like I have this person beat, I want them on the ballot. Case in point, this whole Joe Biden situation, right? The special counsel, his report said that basically Joe Biden is so incompetent he can't stand trial, right? They'd have a hard time convincing a jury because he's so incompetent, right? So some Republicans are now calling to take him off of the ballot, and I'm sitting here like, yo, we've got this guy beat. We've got him beat. Keep him on the ballot. Like, yell and scream that he's crazy and like he's declined mentally, but like, let's not do anything about it. The Democrats told us he was fine this entire time. This is their guy. Let them sink with him. Like, why should we take him off the ticket, right? But yet, Democrats are trying to take Trump off of the ballot, which, I don't know. That just tells me that they know they're going to lose. They know they cannot beat Trump. Because if they knew it, they'd just leave him on. That's just my opinion on it. What's yours?
Day for Joe Biden. It was a very bad day in court for the left. It was a very bad day for the Colorado bogus court case. It was a very good day for President Trump, and it was a good day for the Constitution and the American people. The American people are going to make this decision in November, not radical bureaucrats from the state of Colorado, not radical judges or far left prosecutors.
But even though it's Republican and independent voters who brought this lawsuit in Colorado, I mean, I think that's an important part of this as well.
This is a witch hunt against President Trump, and it is not a coincidence that it is while President Trump is skyrocketing in the polls. Meanwhile, we saw a disastrous day for Joe Biden. Joe Biden started this week plummeting in the polls, the weakest polling for a modern-day president, an incumbent president, and yet you saw a feeble mental acuity lacking in the President of the United States just today. So this is a horrible day. It's a disastrous day for Joe Biden. It's a winning day for Donald Trump, and the Supreme Court case is likely to have multiple liberal justices that side with the conservative justices in this case, siding for the Constitution.
So you think that the court here is going to rule and overturn the Supreme Court in Colorado's decision?
Absolutely. And you heard questions, whether it was from Justice Elena Kagan, you heard multiple questions from the liberal justices who are likely, I believe this could be a 9-0, an 8-1, or a 7-2 case.
So the next thing that the Supreme Court could potentially take up is the question of Donald Trump's argument, his assertion of presidential immunity. If you trust the Supreme Court's decision on the 14th Amendment, will you accept what they decide on presidential immunity as well?
Well, certainly I will have something to say when the court makes that decision, but I already have put out a public statement. Of course, the president has presidential immunity. You can't handcuff a sitting president of the United States for future presidents to go after them. It would not allow them to do their job in their official capacity. So that was a wrong-headed decision. I expect the Supreme Court will overturn that as well.
The appeals court decision.
Yes.
Does that extend to President Biden? Do you think that he can do whatever and not get prosecuted as well?
Well, that's what the Trump campaign put out. They said this is a very slippery slope because it means that if you're of an opposing party, that you could go after your predecessor based upon policy disagreements or official acts. So that's why this is so egregious. And the reality is, Kaitlin, the issues that the American people are concerned about, they're concerned about the border, they're concerned about the inflation crisis, they're concerned about the lack of leadership from the sitting president of the United States, Joe Biden. That's why they're going to make the decision to vote for President Trump at the polls. And that's why you're seeing, despite lawsuit after lawsuit, President Trump's numbers continue to go up because this is not a fair justice system right now. You see the justice system being weaponized against Joe Biden's top political opponent, and that's Donald Trump.
Facts. right? And as much as, I think Democrats, are strategic and plan out a lot of these different moves, I don't think they could have planned for this to happen. I don't think they could have planned to smear Trump's name, throw him in the dirt, right? Roll him in the mud, and he continues to rise in the polls. I don't think they could have predicted that, hey, we hit him with an indictment and he goes higher in the polls. Oh, we hit him with another indictment and he rises even higher. Oh, we get his mugshot. Now, that's got to be it. We got a mugshot of this guy and he goes even higher in the polls. Like, I'm sure they could not have predicted that. And so now they're panicking. What do we do? What do we do? This guy has literally told us, right, when he gets back in office, he is draining the swamp. That means us. We know exactly who he's talking about. What are we going to do now? And listen, if I'm them, I'm panicking too, right? I know what's coming. And I'm going to do everything that I possibly can to make sure that this guy doesn't walk back in office because I know what happens to me, right? So, like I said before, I expect them to pull all types of strings. I mean, anything and everything across the board. I'm not surprised. I am not surprised. I would not be surprised if they just turned off the power. Just had some, it was a solar flare, guys. Cut the power. All power goes gone. Done. No power to America. I wouldn't be shocked. I would not be surprised. But anyway, let's continue.
I think the scathing report, though, that came out today that you referenced on President Biden's handling of documents would suggest that it's not weaponized because it was quite brutal in its assessment. But if he had been charged,
prosecution,
if he had been charged, would you make the argument that he shouldn't have been charged because he has presidential immunity?
First of all, if you look at what the special counsel said, it was a willfully not abiding by rules when it comes to classified information, willfully breaking the law. And the only reason they're not pursuing prosecution is because of the lack of mental acuity of the President of the United States. And this disastrous press conference.
He cooperated.
No,
so
no,
do you agree
it's specifically
because
because of the mental acuity that was pointed out in the document. That's why you saw a panicked White House forced out a doddering, unfit President of the United States for a disastrous press conference to trying to clean it up, and it only did more damage. The reality, Kaitlin, is Donald Trump is going to win this November, and Democrats are spiraling out of control because they see that Joe Biden continues to plummet. His polls are going to go down much further tomorrow based upon that horrific press conference today, and it's selective prosecution. The fact that it's not even a slap on the wrist when the prosecutor himself, the special counsel himself,
but
it is not a slap on the wrist when they specifically say we're not.
That whole little press conference, random press conference, that does scream desperation, doesn't it? Like, oh, good. Oh my goodness, we got to fix this. We got to fix it. Joe Biden, go out and speak to them. Like, address this. You can't just, and nothing is working. Nothing is working. So it does make me wonder, what will they try to do? Are they going to cut the power? Are they just going to leave the country? There was reports that said that Hillary Clinton allegedly said that she would leave. I think her and Nancy, I believe, said that they would leave the country if Trump became president again. If that's true, I predict a mass exodus, right? A mass exodus of a lot of politicians. A lot. WW3, pop it off right before or during, during the counting of the votes, right? Oh, WW3, stop the counting. We got a war going on, I don't know. What do y'all think? Let me know.
Pursuing that prosecution.
But they talked, a big part of this is that President Biden went and sat down with them for 2 days, over the course of 2 days. Obviously, that's the interview that you're talking about, where they talked about his age. Donald Trump hasn't cooperated. Don't you just think if he had cooperated, he could be in the same situation?
This is at the behest of Joe Biden.
But if he had cooperated, don't you think he could be in the same
situation? First of all, there is a
as
difference here.
Biden?
President Trump has, according to the Presidential Records Act, he has declassification authorities. Joe Biden does not have that when he was Vice President of the United States. Joe Biden also had classified documents when he was a sitting senator. That is not covered by the Presidential Records Act. So to say...
I've read the Presidential Records Act. It also doesn't give Trump the authority to just take documents and keep them in a ballroom.
This was a raid on Mar-a-Lago. Mar-a-Lago, Kaitlin, versus working with Joe Biden and saying he willfully broke the law but refusing to prosecute.
But
it
that's
is selective
my point.
prosecution.
That's my point, because Trump did not hand over the documents for more than a year. Jim Trusty could tell you that.
From the DOJ, from Joe Biden's DOJ, ordered by Merrick Garland not to prosecute against Joe Biden, even though it specifically found that he willfully broke the law.
It was an
and
independent
on top of that,
special counsel.
the reason why they're not prosecuting is because they say he's mentally unfit to put in front to pursue that. That is unheard of, and it is selective prosecution, and it's why people inherently know across this country if your last name happens to be Biden or Clinton, you get to live by a different set of rules than everyday average Americans.
I think Hunter Biden would disagree with that, and I will note Robert
Hunter Biden got a sweetheart deal. Let's talk about that.
He's been indicted by the
more about the corruption of the Biden
Hunter
family.
Biden was indicted, and he's got a special counsel. This was a special counsel,
and then got a sweetheart deal from Joe Biden's DOJ.
I want to talk about you because I think, in a lot of your public appearances and your public comments.
Notice how she tried to change the subject off of that one, but look to you.
And the resolutions that Republicans are introducing on Capitol Hill that you're a part of, people want to know if you're auditioning to be Donald Trump's vice president. Have you handed over any documents or been a part of any vetting process with the Trump team yet regarding that?
I'm proud to be one of the top surrogates for President Trump. I voted for President Trump in 2016. I was proud to work with him. I've worked with him on his impeachment defense team when the first witch hunt started against him, perpetrated by the Democrats and Adam Schiff. And I'm proud to be a top surrogate. I would proud to serve in a future Trump administration, but we have a lot to do. I have a lot of responsibility as the House Republican Conference Chair, and most importantly, as the representative for New York's 21st Congressional District, giving them a seat at the highest level. And we're focused on the issues that matter to the American people. The border crisis, which is raging across our country. House Republicans passed a border security bill. Joe Biden has failed. In fact, he has caused this border crisis.
Also, the Republicans in the Senate.
We passed a border bill.
Right,
we passed
one that was never going to pass a Democratic.
We passed a border bill, and you and I both know how difficult it has been
historically
historically for a border bill to come together.
Yes, we just saw what happened with Republicans on Capitol Hill.
House Republicans passed a border bill that Joe Biden opposed.
I want to talk about the
Biden border crisis is because of Joe Biden's executive action. HR2
he is a Democratic president.
And Joe Biden opposed that.
Right, because it was Trump-era immigration policies.
The reason why he opposed it is because he wants a wide-open border, which is what his executive actions caused.
Well, he said he was willing to shut the border down,
and he has the executive authority to do so. He has the executive authority to do so. No, I'm not.
I'd like to return to my question.
I'm not allowing you to just say something that's factually not true. He has the executive authority right now to end catch and release. He has the executive authority right now to close the border.
Congress has the ability to pass legislation.
And we did.
But let's talk about the vice presidency, because you just said that you would be willing to serve in a Trump administration. Had you been vice president on January 6, 2021, what would you have done?
I stood up for the Constitution. I believe it was
what would you have done if you were vice president?
I would not have done what Mike Pence did. I don't think that was the right approach. I specifically stand by what I said on the House floor, and
I'm sorry. I'm interrupting at like a really key part, but just pay attention because they always do this. That's one thing that I've noticed. Like they ask these crazy questions, and then when the person that they ask doesn't answer it the way that they wanted them to, then they spin it and make it sound as if they said something that they really didn't. Just listen, sit back and listen to this.
Had you been vice president on January 6, 2021, what would you have done?
I stood up for the Constitution. I believe it was
what would you have done if you were vice president?
I would not have done what Mike Pence did. I don't think that was the right approach. I specifically stand by what I said on the House floor, and I stand by my statement, which was there was unconstitutional overreach. There was unconstitutional overreach in states like Pennsylvania, and I think it's very important that we continue to stand up for the Constitution and have legal and secure elections, which we did not have in 2020. And the tens of millions of Americans agree with me, Kaitlin.
Well, I would say the Supreme Court in the state of Pennsylvania said that Republican passed changes to their law was constitutional. But it's notable to hear you say, given you're in the running to be the vice president, that you would have rejected those votes. Come this election, when Vice President Harris is in that position, would you be okay if she rejected the votes if Donald Trump wins?
Listen, we need to make sure the election is constitutional and legal. We're talking about Democrats.
Legal.
It was not, Kaitlin. It was unconstitutional when there was circumventing state legislatures unilaterally changing election law. I stand by my statement on the House floor. And again, tens of millions of Americans agree with that statement and have questions about the validity
because
and
Republicans
legality
are
and
so in doubt about the election.
No, because the American people have rightful questions on the constitutionality.
Because Republicans are
and
so in doubt
let me
about it.
say this for you. When it comes to this election, we are seeing the Democrats trying to remove President Trump from the ballot. That is not constitutional. That is not a legal and safe, secure election. That's literally what's being discussed at the Supreme Court today, because radical leftists can't stand the fact that Donald Trump continues to skyrocket in the polls and Joe Biden continues to plummet. And when you get outside of CNN, if you get outside of CNN and talk to hardworking American people, like in my district, like across this country, they want to see new leadership in President Trump, and that's why he's going to win.
You deleted a
You know, and that's the reason why people don't trust mainstream media anymore. It's for mainstream media, it's a problem to ask questions. Like, you're not allowed to ask the question. You're not allowed to be curious. You're just supposed to blindly trust that everything is good because mainstream media told you it was good. Because CNN said, hey, everything's fine, guys. Everything's okay. Thumbs up, you know? Like, you're just supposed to just trust it. You know, and they sit here and push this BS lie about we're here to protect democracy. Really? Okay. But we're also going to push the narrative that Trump needs to be taken off of the ballot for something that he wasn't even convicted for. He has not been convicted. Like, insurrection. Okay, in what court was he tried and convicted on insurrection? Oh, wait. I will wait. So, that's obviously a dangerous place to be, because anybody could say anything and convince the masses, hey, this person committed this. All right, well, throw him in jail for 100 years. Why? I haven't even been convicted. You know? That's exactly what they're doing to Trump. Punishing him for something that he hasn't even been convicted of, let alone charged. It's craziness. Absolute craziness. And it proves, in my humble opinion, that they know they can't beat Trump. They know that this train cannot be stopped. They know that. And so, or they can't beat the train, I should say. They're going to try to stop it. They're going to try to derail it. You know, how that's going to happen, I don't know. I doubt that they can. I seriously do. I highly doubt that they can. Even if they cut the power. As dramatic and as crazy as that would be, even if they cut the power, I still don't think when the power came back on, they would win. I still don't believe they would win. That's just my humble opinion on it. As a matter of fact, I think that would be detrimental, even worse for Biden. He's already considered, the worst president ever, you know, getting us in crisis after crisis. And then, the power cuts off. He got us in another crisis, you know? I don't know. How do y'all feel about it? Let me know in the comment section below. Peace and love. I'm out.